Hey, we're gonna do what we were supposed to do last week. This week we're gonna hopefully do it. Stick to the script. I would like to really just go straight through over here. And Ksai, as we mentioned, stirring pots and Shabbos is a fascinating sugya, fascinating extreme. Obviously, that's why we have Chulent served right now. L'kavod, learning, and all those that ate and were megas to Chulent obviously will have greater siyata d'shmaya in understanding the sugya. And everyone listening is wondering what in the world is going on in this room right now. No, it is not Friday night. It is not Shabbos day. We're eating Chulent on a Wednesday. Baruch Hashem. Continues. Here we go. Gemara and Beya. Yes, that is part of. We'll tell everyone the secret. Gemara and Beya. Daf Lamid Dalid. Well, why is it no Mar Sayin on a part of Chulent? Why is it no Mar Sayin? What? Why do you not have to tell people that there's no meat in there? Forget about there. Let's worry about what we're doing. Don't worry about the cafeteria. Why not? Why not? Someone's gonna eat it and go. Someone's gonna eat it and go have a coffee afterwards.
What do you mean? They're going to take place.
Very good, very good, very good. That's what we call a klotz kasha. No kasha is a klotz kasha, but sometimes they actually are. Anyways, it just means you're not thinking. Let's continue. Says Gemara Be'ed Daf Lamed Daled on the base. Tanya, echad maybe is arv, echad maybe is eight, and this is where we started. And did we mention the dishwasher? Did we mention the dishwasher? Anyone? Okay, so let's mention Rosh Hashanah's dishwasher. It says Rosh Hashanah in Arbach. Why are you not allowed to say it? I didn't mention this. I did. Whenever I see this Gemara, I mention the dishwasher. Yeah, it's part of the process. Okay, good. Baruch Hashem. Says the Gemara in Be'ah that every part of the cooking process is important. Every part is a separate isser. That's the Gemara in Be'ah. So let's go on from over here to another Gemara in Shabbos. Says the Gemara in Shabbos, Semer liyaira. Semer liyaira ligzar, asks the Gemara, why are we not worried? You're going to be machata, you're going to stoke the flames. Amar Shmuel, biyaira akura. Talking about a pot. Yair is a pot of this of tzemer and this dye and whatnot, of the wool, of the creating clothing and whatnot. It's on a flame. Says the Gemara, v'nechosh shema megisba. Why are we not worried that we're going to be megis? Mahafich ba umavushal have bishul. Says the Gemara, ba'akura v'tucha. That what's going on? It's covered. The pot is mechusa b'kisi shalo, the words of Rashi, v'toicha b'titzaviv. And therefore, the kuliyai loitarech umitkar. There's a hecker. You're never going to come to stir it. So come along the Rishayim, and the Rishayim want to know how far does the Isser. It's clear in the Gemara that there's an Isser Megis, as the Gemara is asking, why don't we make a Gezerah? You might come to be Megis. So it's clear there's an Isser Megis. The question is, how far does the Isser Megis go? The word Megis means to stir. So clearly you're not allowed to stir a pot on a flame. Now the question is that a cooked pot? Is that a not cooked pot? The question is, how far does stirring go? So let's see the Rishayim over here. Comes on the Ran, and the Ran says, Ran is a very extreme shita. Says the Ran, Shema mina, ta'afilu ba'akura, ika misha megis, ta'agasa b'kli rishon ke bishol. Says the Ran, if you mix something in the kli rishon, it's called bishol. Umikan le'elfas u'kadir shervira miretzcha megavi ar. Even if you take the pot off the flame, which again, in our minds, this might seem like abstract. What, I'm taking off a yoira, a vat off a flame? This is called your Chulent pot. This is called you took off your crock pot from the flame and you put it on the counter or on the stove or wherever you want to put your Chulent. I don't really care. You're serving your Chulent Shabbos day. So you took it off the flame. Shekol shaloi nisba shel kameichel ben rutzai ein moitzin b'kaf mehem. Don't take it out with a spoon. Don't take it out with a spoon. Why can't you take it out with a spoon? It's off a flame. Again, you're not allowed to take it out with a spoon. Why? Says the Ran, Dinimsa megis. It's going to result that you are mixing it. Vika misham mevishal. Does everyone hear what just happened? Says the Ran, if I have a pot sitting here, I think 1 week we spoke about what happens when we spoke about doing chazara, we said you got to look at your Chulent and make sure it's fully cooked. And what if you take it off and it's not fully cooked? Well, so someone might say, okay, it's not fully cooked, you just eat the whole thing Friday night. Says the Ran, you can't even eat it. Well, maybe we'll get a way to get out of the pot. Says the Ran, you can't take a spoon and take out the Chulent. Why can't I take out the Chulent? What am I doing? Says the Ran, think about it, go in slow motion. Take the spoon, and what happens when you do azai? What just happened? You know it's mixed. You're chulent. Certainly, in a more liquidy chulent like we have sitting over here, maybe we'll do a visual in a few moments. Certainly, when you take out the chulent, what happens? It mixes it. Says the Ran, it is aser. But says the Ran, aval kol shenis bashal kamecho ben dursai. If it's fully cooked, suleka lemechash lahachi. Then we're not worried. So the Ran says you're not allowed to take something out with a spoon if it's not fully cooked. Comes along the Rambam, and the Rambam says, aser lahachnis magrefa l'kedera b'Shabbos v'hi ala eish. What's a magrefa? We had that word. You're not allowed to put a magrefa, a utensil, into a pot on Shabbos while it is on the fire. The Magid Mishnah, which is the Kesef Mishnah, which are the words in parentheses here, says Lav Dafka. Elakol sheviru miruseches mi'ala eish karila. Kesef Mishnah is very machmer. Kesef Mishnah is Beis Yosef. What does Beis Yosef say? As long as it is piping hot, it's called al eish. He says, read the words. Kol sheviru miruteches mi'al ha'ar al ha'ish karila. It's considered al eish. So the Kesef Mishnah here wants to be machmer that if you take the chalent pot right off, it's boiling hot. At that point, it is aser lahachlis magrefa. You're not allowed to stick a spoon into it. Loitzen b'Shabbos nisha magisba. Zem mitzarch b'shlu v'nimsa k'mavashel b'Shabbos. So how do you get out your chalent? How do you get out your chalent? You just got to pour out the whole thing. Can't use a spoon. If you take a spoon, it's called mixing. Got to take the whole thing, tilt the whole thing over. What? What? Oh, so that's a good question. Why is pouring not called mixing? And we're going to see that the Mishnah Berurah is going to teach us, like, that's just too far. Okay. Let's continue. Comes on the Magid Mishnah. And the Magid Mishnah says that in Divrei Rabbeinu Amurin Kimavashal Kol Tzarkai. Because now you have to realize, the Rambam didn't mention whether the thing is fully cooked. If the thing is fully cooked, what's the problem stirring it? It's going to cook it. It's fully cooked. You can't cook it anymore. So what's the problem? So we're going to have to see if this will stand the test of time. But comes on the Magid Mishnah and says, the Rambam was talking about fully cooked. The Hasam vade afilu machzirin al gabav umavashlin pater. Even if you would do chazara, right? What would it be? It would be an Isser D'Rabbanan, because you don't have the Tanai chazara. But would you be over an Isser D'Oraisa? Of course not, because the item is fully cooked. So says the Magid Mishnah, Kivan Shekain, ein ligzar b'achnasas magrefa. Says the Magid Mishnah, that's too far. If something is fully cooked, then you could take it with a spoon. Anytime that if you were to mix it, it's not a proper chiyuv. When will it not be a proper chiyuv to mix it? If it's fully cooked, says the Magid Mishnah. So what are you allowed to do? Take with a spoon. But something that has an isser hagasa bin da'araisa, which would be what? Something that is not fully cooked, then you're not even allowed to put a spoon in. So we have a brewing machlekes rishonim going on over here. Everyone, of course, has to agree, which is what the next line points out, that when something is fully cooked, can there be an Isser D'Oraisa involved? No. Bishlach bishul, ein bishlach bishul, all irrelevant. Once something is fully cooked, there will never be an Isser D'Oraisa. You still could have Yisurim. You can never be an Isser D'Oraisa on something fully cooked. And therefore, what seemingly is going on over here, the Rishonim that we just quoted seem to want to say that to make a Gezerah is too extreme. The item has an Isser maximum of what? D'Rabbanan. So you're going to take an item with an Isser that if you were to go like this and stir the whole thing Gishmak on the fire is maximum D'Rabbanan. And now you're going to start making Gezerahs, different levels. Maybe Gezerah stirring off the fire, maybe Gezerah taking on the fire, whatever the levels are going to be. The Rishonim clearly had a hard time accepting a lot of these Gezerahs in the world of something be fully cooked. However, we did not quote the Kolbai. The Kolbai, as you see in the next Marmakum, why? Yeah, everything goes downhill from here. Everyone who wants to be Mako, please leave right now. I mean, it's Kineged Halacha, but listen, this is where things go awry, I believe is how you say it. Why we don't quote the Kolbai directly, probably didn't have the Kolbai on me, so we just quote from the Magen Avram. But it's not like, it's debated if the Kolbai says it. That's not what I mean to say. This is a Kolbai. Kolbai is a Rishon. Let's just, Says the Magen Avram, Ubeis Yosef Kasa b'Shem HaKolbai. Demagis chayiv mishom mevashal. Afilu b'kedera muvusheles kol tzarkoi. Says the Kolbai, every single word that was just said in this room is false. Every single one. I just said that everyone agrees if it's fully cooked, there's no more Issa Deraisa. Says the Kolbai, even something. Now this should not make sense in your brain. This should be very hard for you to hear and understand. This is what the Kolbai says. Even something that is fully cooked is an Isser, potentially Deraisa. When, says the Kolbai, Al Ha'ish. So now, the problem now is, so again, let's just repeat what the Kolbai said. Al Ha'ish, your crackpot, on the fire, fully cooked. Take your spoon, go for one big mix. The Kolbai says, off the cliff. Isser de Araisa. Does anyone understand that? No one should understand that because it makes no sense. It's not my question, it's everyone's question. What's even more fascinating, as we're about to see, if something makes no sense, we would all anticipate right now happening. All Rishayim tell the Kolbai, we don't know what happened, pardon my French, but you fell on your head. And all the Rishayim argue. The Rambam, the Ran, the Gedolei Rishayim all argue. And therefore at this point we would anticipate what happening. The Kolbai is some Das Yachid, and maybe we'd find some extreme chumrah somewhere, like maybe like a Yereim that would come along. Yereim's always fearful of all halachas in Hilchos Shabbos, hence the name. And maybe you'd find like a Yereim that comes along and be like, oh, maybe be machmir, and like you'd find that as a chumrah somewhere. That's what we would anticipate if we were writing the script. What's important in life is never write your own script. Follow the script that was written for us. So let's continue. Over here, we quote. I don't know why I went in this order, but let's trust what happens here. Says the Chazon Ish. Where did the Kolbai come from? Chazon Ish says the Kolbai came from the Rambam. The Kolbai understood mistimas l'shoinai, that it is usher to take from a spoon when it's on the ish, even fully cooked. Meaning the Kolbai is arguing in the Magid Mishnah. That's a generation off, so that's not a problem. Kolbai is well before the Magid Mishnah. Magid Mishnah was Achreinim, Kolbai was Rishayim still. But like we read in the Magid Mishnah, again, go back to the words of the Rambam and you can appreciate this. The Rambam did not say whether, if anyone, there are more papers here, I'm sorry, if someone wants. Not that you need to, but if you want, there are papers over here. Now, that didn't mean that you have to get up and get them. I'm not insulted the slightest. Trust me, not in the slightest. But if you want one, I feel bad. They happen to be sitting here. I am not insulted. They were from last week. I didn't even hit print for them this week. There's one right there. Take that one also. Oh yeah, okay, good. Says we sort of missed the parts that we read inside, but either way, the Rambam, I apologize, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. The Rambam was very open-ended, which by the way, often Rambams are. And this is the reason why Rambams are always subject to such debate. Because Rambam writes, I don't want to say he writes similar to the Gemara, but he writes very, very, that's a good way of saying it. But whatever, I don't know the right way to define it. I don't know if it's curt, because he's not so short, but he doesn't necessarily explain every detail always. And that's often the machlekes him. So like a Rishon, Shalom Aleichem, he's a Rishon. So, the Rambam writes over here, he just says, also lahachnis into the fire. Finished. So the Magid Mishnah came along as we read together, and the Magid Mishnah came to lay and say, don't mess up the Rambam. Of course, the Rambam doesn't mean if it's fully cooked. So what's the Magid Mishnah coming to say not? Anytime someone says, you got to know what he's coming to say not. The Magid Mishnah is coming to say, because if you read the words of the Rambam, what would you think? It's all inclusive. Never add the spoon into the pot. It would sound like the Vushikol Tzarka even there. So the Chazon Ish learned that's where the Kolbai came from. So that's what the Chazon Ish learned. Don't make a mistake now and think that the Chazon Ish is going to be the Veltz Machmir. The Chazon Ish actually is going to be the Veltz Mekel over here. Believe it or not. For all those that still have the misconception that the Chazon Ish is always Machmir and all the Tshuvas are always Mekel, it's not true. In all the incredible, fascinating literature out there to prove elsewhere. Says the Shartzion over here, famous words. I don't know how many times they exist in all of Hilchos Shabbos. I know of two, this and one other. Anyone knows the other one? Says the Shartzion, Loi Eida Hatam. I don't understand. Shartzion was written by the Mishnah Berurah himself. You know the one? Should I tell you, or should I think about it? Okay, I won't tell you. Says, I should tell you? No. Okay. Says the Shartzion, I think it's also Shartzion actually. Loi Eida Hatam. I don't understand. Dema Adifa and just listen how he asks the kasha. It's the exact same way we ask the question. Ma adifa hagasa bishul mamish. How could a hagasa, how could stirring be more chomer, more stringent than cooking? Everyone agrees to be mavushal kol tzarkai ain't by misham bishul. There's no one in the world, no Rishon ever came along and said, even when something's fully cooked, there's still an Isser D'Oraisa to cook. Never happened. Doesn't exist. Once something is fully cooked, there's no Isser D'Oraisa to cook anymore. So, frak the Sharetzion, I don't understand what the Kolbai is doing. But again, what would we now anticipate? We'd anticipate the Sharetzion as well as everyone else saying, so we don't go with the Kolbai. No one does that. Let's continue. Comes on the Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish says that when you're megis it, when it's on the flame, is it inyan mechudash? I think these are his words. V'risukay chashabishal. Risukay means when you pulverize it a little bit. That's what risuk is. So Chazon Ish learns that getting it more mushy, that's a level of bishal. Now, exactly, that's the perfect response. Okay. But that's what he says. Ramosha Feinstein, and again, everyone is grappling what is the kolbai doing. Yet everyone is going to at the end go with the kolbai. But we're trying to at least explain something. Now the Sharetzion didn't try. Now, I'm not calling it to task the Chazon Ish and Ramosha, because of course they're allowed to try. But rule of life, if the Mishnah Berurah says, I don't know, probably, no one's going to figure out the reason. But either way, came along the Gedolei, Achrayim, the Chazon Ish, Ramosha, and they gave a little bit of a reason. It says Ramosha Feinstein as follows. And these words around Moshe are a very big problem. For those who ever, what was the question? We're good? You could ask. You could ask. You could ask. I agree. And yet no one here does. You're asking again? Asking now. This is exactly. Yeah. Again, we can understand it. It's a Magen Avraham that brings down the kolbai. It's everyone. No, you're right. You're right. I will articulate what is being asked from the back. I won't say your name in public in case you're embarrassed. Katzenstein's first cousin. So I'll articulate that the question is, we'll find often that the Gedolei HaPaiskim, we'll call them, did not shy away from arguing on anyone. Moshe Feinstein Bereisham will come along and I'll say Mishnah Berurah makes no sense, Magen Avraham makes no sense, Shulchan Aruch makes no sense, and I'm going to be making like the Rambam. Moshe will do that. He'll do it. He has no qualms. This is Moshe's godless that he's allowed to break all the rules. So Moshe's godless. Yet, that's exactly what I'm bringing up here, is you would anticipate someone coming along and saying, come on, this sugya makes no sense, so let's just flip it, go with the other Rishonim and everything's good. Go with the Magen Mishnah's explanation of the Rambam, say that there's no Isser when it's fully cooked, and then everything's going to fall off. Just by the way, you probably can anticipate what's going to happen next. Everything is being bumped up a level. If there's an Isser proper when it's fully cooked, so now we're going to have to figure out when am I allowed to stir, and when am I allowed to take out with a spoon, so everything is being upped a level. If we didn't go with the kolbai and went with the other Rishonim, there's never an Isser D'Oraisa. Okay, so then we would probably say, Allah, Eish, Mamish, don't stir it. Once it's off the fire, forget about it. What's the problem? Yet, no one does that. I agree with you. Says Ramosha Feinstein. He says as follows, it's difficult for Ramosha to understand. I'll preface, anyone who's going to think about it is going to have a big problem. So I'm not saying not to think about it, but says Ramosha, Harbe Pa'amim Shika Kartin, we had cartons in Hilchos Nida. You know, the little chunks coming out, little pieces. Cartons, croutons, little pieces. No one knows what I'm talking about. It's good you didn't get your smicha yet. You're a Harbe Pa'amim, we're not going to tell you until you figure that one out. Mary, you know what that one is? Okay, good, Baruch Hashem. Ika Kartin, we could have switched a name if you want. It's not fully cooked. Listen to these words. They're ready to eat. 98% of the pot is fully cooked. But there's one little guy in the bottom that's not cooked. So Moshe seemingly is learning that you could have a whole cholent pot that's fully cooked Shabbos day. But you know what would happen if you go and you stir that cholent pot? There might be one little bean sitting on the bottom left corner, left field, bleachers. That guy's not fully cooked. But then when you mix it, he's going to be cooked. That's what we're chayshish for, says Ramosha. The part that's difficult, I'll just articulate so you don't have to, is that, then how are you allowed to do it? How are you allowed to put this back on? How are you allowed to call it Vushikol Tzarkai? If we're really chayshish that it's something not cooked, how are you allowed to put it? How are you allowed to mix it off the fire? How are you allowed to take it? It has a din of Mavusha Kol Tzarka. So l'chayra, the big l'chayra. Chayra Moshe means the Avada lahalacha Kol Mavusha Kol Tzarka. In Avada, you're allowed to do chazar. In Avada, we'll see in a moment, you're allowed to take it with a spoon. And it's just going to be episode chumrah, not to stir it, Avada. What Moshe means is this is what the Kol Boy was chayshish for. And that's what the Kol Boy was chayshish for, daraisa. Still extreme, because why we make machmer everywhere else? That's the way that it is. Finally, comes along the Mishnah Berurah, B'psak halacha. He brings al Yerabah that says that Shalfia Kol Boy Da'asal Lahagis Afilu Mitzvah Kol Tzarkai Muadayin Al Eish Aser Gam Leitzas B'Kaf. And that's really where the Mishnah Berurah sort of ends part A over here. The Mishnah Berurah says, can you go to your shul on Friday night, open the cover, take your spoon, take out a spoonful? Says Mishnah Berurah, no. Why not? It's important to know why not. Because of the Kol Boy. Because it's Al Eish, and therefore you're not even allowed to take with a spoon. Lemaisa, as we'll see in a few moments, there is a Chazon Ish that is Mekel over there. So we turn over the page over here, and we continue. So now we want to know, how far does this Gezerah go? We spent a long time trying to understand the Kol Boy, where he came from, what happened. We did not get great clarity. We have a Chazon Ish up saying it gets mushy. We have Ramosha telling us that maybe there's one uncooked bean in the corner. But we're still a little bit scratching our heads. But what are we going to do? We paskin like the Kol Boy, as we see over here in Shulchan Aruch. Simin Shin Yoches Siv Yoches Elvos Vayketer Shavim Merutachim El Gabi Ar. If it's not fully cooked, you can't take it with a spoon because you're going to mix it and to be bishul. Ve'im this bashal called tzarkai mutter. Aval tzemer liyarav v'shekol it ayin also like us. Boy says the Ramah ulachatchila. What's wrong? We're going to see the Mishnah Berurah inside. Yes. In the bottom. No. Avla Ramah Pasak. We're about to learn that Ramah. That's what we're reading right now. Says the Ramah. No, we didn't see that yet. Very good. Says the Ramah. Look at these words. Ulachatchila. So the Mechaber just differentiated between different things. What Sfardim do is a question right now. Let's go with the Ramah. Ulachatchila yeshli zoher af b'kedera b'chol inyan. And this word b'chol inyan is a big problem. What is the Ramah being machmir on? The Ramah says nachama that b'kedera you should be machmir b'chol inyan. So it says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkat and Kuf Yud Zayin. Where's our Secheli Gimel? Is it out? No. No, I don't have the whole quote of the Mishnah Berurah here. Can you get a Secheli Gimel just to make sure? It says the Mishnah Berurah. I have bits and pieces. Says Mishnah Berurah, what could you do? This would be the other option. No, it's somewhere, right? Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. Thank you. What? Oh, they don't see it. All right, I just miraculously pulled it out of nowhere. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Tzivkatin Kufi Yitzayin, L'chatchil Yeshizar Af B'Ketera, says Mishnah Berurah, you should be machmir Af B'Ketera B'Cholin. Ella, what should you do? Yahapoy Chaketera L'Kaira, flip over the pot, V'loy Yoitzi B'Kaf, and don't take with a spoon. Very extreme. Mishnah Berurah continues, and this is the same line. Keep on reading. The Mishnah Berurah continues. V'ayin b'achrayim, Deloy Nahaginon B'Chumra Bazeh. So again, let's just understand what's happening here. Mishnah Berurah just defined the Ramah. When the Ramah said to be machmer b'chol inyan, says Mishnah Berurah, what is kol inyan? To flip the pot over. Okay? Flip the pot over. So if the Ramah, the Rav of Krakow, was sitting here in front of us, and we asked the Ramah, what should he do? What would he tell us? They were all doing it wrong on Shabbos, seemingly. He would say, you can't take with a spoon, even shalei aleish, even off the fire. You have to flip it over. Comes along the Mishnah Berurah, and he says, Ayin b'achrayim, look at the achrayim that we're not machmir. And then he goes on to explain, the MS, or ikri moshizan mischila. Really, the MS is, which is called tzarkai, afilu lahagis motor. Be'etzem, everything should be motor. Kuvur like one sim shid chaval v'yitas. Now, these words are difficult words. V'haroitze lahachmir. Roitze lahachmir. What does roitze lahachmir mean? I'll have one less bite of Chalav Yisrael. Chalav Stam. Haroitze lahachmir. Interesting. Haroitze lahachmir. Yachmir with what? Hagasa mamish. Avlahaiti bekaf ein lahachmir klal, because it's fully cooked, and ve'ena al ha'ish. So the Mishnah Berurah paskins halacha lemaisa, and this of course is the lechatchila, that when you have a pot that's fully cooked, off of the flame, are you allowed to do hagasa? Are you allowed to stir that pot? You take the chulent out, and minhag avosenu, you put it down, you open it up, you take a big whiff, you take your spoon, you mix it 3 times, you let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you serve it. Says the Mishnah Berurah, that is not lechatchila. Can I say it's aser? No, can't say it's aser. Why not? What did the Mishnah Berurah say? Haroitze lahachmir. Now, do you have to be machmir? You don't have to be machmir. Don't have to be machmir. Is that aser? Be'emes ha'ikar is that it's mutter. Haroitze lahachmir. Comes along Ramesha Feinstein. And Ramesha Feinstein takes this one step further, because one who hears these words might say, 1 second. So you shouldn't mix it. You're allowed to take it with a spoon. What if I have a big cholent pot, and I know that there's some meat at the bottom? Can I go fish, as they call it, to the bottom? No clue why. I guess that's why. I'm just thinking fish and meat. It's not allowed. Can I go fish? Horrible pun. Can I go fish to the bottom and take out the meat? One might think that's a mamash hagasa. Think about what you're doing. Think about the action. You're taking your spoon all the way to the bottom of the pot. You're getting out a pea, and then you're pulling it up. You watch the pot as you do it, and what happens? The whole thing is mixing. Says Ramesha, that's mutter. Ulahoitzi bekaf mitachtes hakadera, from the bottom of a pot. Me'achar sheladina leka iser, once it's off the fire. Ein lahachmir. Af lamala af batzaz kozah. One second. We'll get everything in a moment. I understand your question. Let's wait there for one moment. So le halacha. Well, there's one more word before we say le halacha. There's a chazonish. Comes on the chazonish, and his words are important. I know it's only a snippet over here. You can learn the whole thing, but it's important. I believe he's a little bit misquoted. To mix it on the flame. What did he say? Ra'i. It's the right thing. Good. So you already see that chazonish is being a little bit more makel over here. Why should you not do it? Because the Rambam holds it's the rice. The kolbay. Apparently there's some lines over here that I cut out for some reason. That wasn't very nice. But says the chazonish, yesh lismoich lahakel. What do the words yesh lismoich lahakel mean? It means there's a makom to be mekel. Doesn't mean it's mutter lechatchila. Yesh lismoich lahakel. Even when it's on the eish, like the Ravid. He says the Mishnah Berurah is a machmir, litol bekav kol zman shu ala eish avzad shkol tzarkur. V'nira tiberoitzel. So now the Chazon Ish says, okay, I just told you can be mekel. Mishnah Berurah is machmir. Now the Chazon Ish almost forgives himself. Chazon Ish should say, I told you in the sugya it's allowed. Says the Chazon Ish, v'nira tiberoitzel lahashir akadira. Says the Chazon Ish, you want to take Chulent Friday night, and you want to leave the pot there. And what's the problem? Chazon Ish doesn't hold the blech. You can't return it. So when those get up and say the Chazon Ish says it's mutter to take when the cholent is sitting on the flame, does he say that? I don't think so. He says there's a makkah to be mekel, and he says if there's no other choice. So what's another case where there's no other choice? Says Ramesha Feinstein, if the pot is very heavy, he's me'achmer even if it's heavy. L'maisa, that will be some that will tell you, I think I have the nostalgic Rabbi Ribia book in the back of my mind right now, that he says that l'maisa, if it's very heavy, that's l'chayr the words of the Chazon Ish. And this does happen. You'll have a simcha, you'll have a massive cholent in yeshiva, and it's not shayich, granted it's a different story, let's not get involved in that. And it's not shayich to take off the cholent. Then, l'maisa, you have a Chazon Ish that's mekel. Mishnah Berurah is machmir. So le'alacha, this sikum, what comes out of this story? Your cholent, number one, does it have to be fully cooked? 100%. If it's not fully cooked, nothing starts. If it's al ha'ish, if it's on the fire, are you allowed to mix it? Mix it. Everyone says it's aser. Ro'i lifrosh is the most you'll get. Everyone's chayshish. So mix it on the flame is for sure aser. Unfortunately, people do that. Mixing on the flame is aser. So to make a difference, I have foil underneath. I have silver balls underneath. Yeah, people also cook on Shabbos. That's true. That's true. Yishladin bitzina. Whether if someone mixes their cholent, lay it there. It's a deraisa. Kolbay. Rishayim argue. Can we make it like the other Rishayim? Can we make it like the other Rishayim? The Chazinish. Saying, what would the Mishnah Berurah paskin? What would the Mishnah Berurah paskin? That's not so simple. Yeah. No. But he's saying, Hagasa Mamish, he says, raw ilifrish. Doesn't say it's also. He's chayshish for the kolbay. Okay, Lamaisa, mixing on the fire is no go. What about taking on the fire? Mishnah Berurah, nothing doing. Ramesha Feinstein, nothing doing. There is a Chazinish that b'makom that you know their choice, he's willing to let you take it in the fire. But you still can't stir it. Would one want to be a little bit more machmir how they take? I would suggest that. Meaning, Shura Moshe said to take from the bottom of the pot and get that piece of meat, it's a beseder, that's off the fire. To do that on the fire, I think that's a little bit nerve-wracking. I don't know. I would definitely want to be a little bit more nervous about that. And what's the lechatchila? Off the fire. Off the fire, what are you allowed to do? Are you allowed to be megis? No. Yeah. I agree. But if someone has a massive thing and they want to be makel, I hear. But I would definitely say to take lightly in something like that. Now, if someone off the fire, are you allowed to stir it? What's the halacha? Not lechatchila. Mr. Berurah says, yeah, it's interesting lashon, roitz lahachmir, true, and are taking with a spoon.
What is the concern if it's off the flame and you mix it?
Il comes from the same kolbay, that if we believe that there's an Issa, or if Lafi the kolbay himself, it's a gezerah. That's why. If there's an Issa deraisa, when it's on the flame, so then there'll be an Issa derabanan of megis off the flame. That's l'chayra what's going on over here. Mishmur says, what? L'chayra. But even now we don't really understand, which is l'chayra why the Mishmur Abbas says, right to lahachmir can be machmir. And that is, so if one wants to take chalent, l'maisa, what do? You keep doing what you do. Is you take it out, you put it down, and you take the chalent. Should you stir it? Not lichat chila. B'diavad, and I'll end with the following case. We spoke last week, we're going to put two sugyas together, and this is a little bit of a debated point, so we're going to leave it as a little bit of a question. Last week we spoke about adding water to your chalent. So if anyone has ever added water to their chalent, there's usually two parts that need to be done. You don't just pour water into your chalent. Usually, you want to stir it. That's just the mitzias. Now, do you need to? I'm not getting involved in happens in people's kitchens. But most people, when they add water as their chalent is burning, what do they want to do? They want to stir it. Is there a problem? Well, based on what we're saying today, what's the answer? The answer is off the fire. Off the fire, you shouldn't do lechatchila. But if one is nervous that it's not going to work, l'chayr is a makkah to be makel. I'll be ma'ayir the shayla that some ask. Then maybe when the Mishnah Berurah is makel to allow you to stir it, right? He says a right to lahachmir. Maybe that's only if you're not going to end up putting it back on the fire. Maybe if you're going to go put it back on the fire, there's a little bit of a higher level concern that it's more of a real hagasa that you're mixing things around. There are those who maybe want to be machmir. I think Rosh Mizalmin, maybe between the lines of a footnote, is willing to be mekel, and that is hagasa. Yes, one last question.
Would it help to, it's a little hassle, would it help to take the whole chop out, pour it out, put water in the bottom, chop out, and dump everything back in?
I know that. It's a little bit crazy. Maybe, again, l'chayra the pashas is, again, it's a chumrah to be megis. That is the Hilchos Shabbos.